What's up, YouTube? Welcome to a new series all about my collecting goals. Tonight I'm going to cover the complete collection of something I've been trying very hard to finish the full set on. And I just completed it this weekend, so I thought I'd make a video about it. And that is a complete collection of all the titles the company Renovation released in the US. Renovation Products was a division of Telenet Japan, and they functioned much like the current game publisher Exile does, in which they brought over a lot of games with a very distinctive Japanese flavor to them. Really didn't alter them too much, left them pretty true to themselves. A lot of the games had a lot of anime-style art and cutscenes, and pretty much cutting-edge graphics for their time. They also supported a lot of shooters, which is one of my favorite genres of games, and really are one of my all-time favorite game publishers. I'm going to cover the complete collection of 23 titles they released for the Sega Genesis. That was by far the system they supported the most. In addition, I also have the one game they released for the Super Nintendo, as well as the 3 games they released for the Sega CD. All of these games are in complete condition, and that's what made this collection such a challenge. Most of their games, well, I don't want to say most, but a big majority of their games were sold to video rental stores, which means that the instructions were either lost long ago, the cases were destroyed, or either they had a lot of stickers on them. I would say that after hunting for Renovation titles for so long, it's very difficult to find their games without stickers either on the cartridge, the manual, or the case, if you can find those other pieces at all. Before I kick off into the games, I also have a background here of several of Renovation's vintage advertisements. They were rather low budget, however pretty colorful. I don't know how well you can see this, but this is probably their most infamous ad, and it features a mulleted, gold chain-wearing dude talking about how awesome Guy Aries is. His title is Professional Gamer as well, so I would love to know where Jamie Bunker is these days, and how much he's still rocking that mullet, as well as his love of Renovation products. That said, I would love to have the Renovation hoodie he's wearing in that ad, as well as the Renovation t-shirt this kid is wearing in the other ad. So if any of you know where to find any of that additional Renovation memorabilia, I would love to have it. Enough said about that. I am going to go over each of the games that they published. Some of these I'll give a few pieces of commentary and then basically just show you the artwork. One of the reasons why this is one of my favorite publishers is really their artwork on the cases is excellent. A lot of it is original artwork that was on the Japanese version, and in some cases they actually enhanced it. So the games are in no particular order. I'll go ahead and start off with those. And the first one is Elemental Master. This was actually one of the last titles they released on the Sega Genesis. I believe this came out in 1993. And this is an excellent shooter that was developed by Technosoft. For some reason, Technosoft passed on this one in the US, or maybe their US publishing had folded by that point. But you can see some of the screenshots on there. It's a very colorful game, and I feel this is one of their best titles that Renovation brought over. Next is El Viento, and this one also has very cool artwork on it. This one kind of has like an early 1930s storyline in it. And I believe this one was developed by the game maker Wolf Team, who had a very close partnership with Telenet, or maybe was a subsidiary of Telenet Japan. This game has really good graphics. I just remember it being very difficult to play, and I really didn't get too far in it. It's also closely related to another game in these Renovation titles that I'll go over shortly. The next one is Guy Aries. This is an excellent shooter. It's one of their best-known games that they put out. This one I actually just recently got my complete copy because I needed the original poster that this game came with. This is the only Renovation game that comes with a poster. Very difficult to find complete, especially that one, due to the extra piece in there. But again, very good entry in the Renovation shooters that they put out. This one is actually the most difficult game I could find complete. I just got this one. The manual on this gave me the hardest time ever to find, and that is Arrow Flash. Arrow Flash was actually one of the earlier titles that Renovation put out. I believe this one came out in 1990 or early 91, and very, very difficult to find complete. It seems like the value on this one has just kind of skyrocketed in the last couple months on eBay, basically just due to how few are listed in complete condition. So this was a case where I had to buy a whole new complete copy just because I could never find just the manual for sale. That's a common challenge with Genesis games, is just the manuals are so difficult to find. Sometimes you're better off buying a complete one and selling your boxed copy. So very happy to have this. This is what officially completed my renovation collection and why I'm making this video. Next is another one that has a long-running series. This is the only entry on the Sega Genesis, and that is Ys 3. Very much, if you like the Ys games, you'll enjoy this. I actually have this game on the TurboGrafx 16, and I prefer that version of it because it has CD sound. Has a very clipped screen, so there is a very minimal screen to play with due to all the large background on the game. But overall, a pretty good title. Artwork is a little bit iffy on this one, but still a very cool renovation title that they brought over. The next one is Ernest Evans, and this is the one that is related to El Viento. Some kind of commonality in the storyline. I really don't remember it to go over it all right now. But again, another one that Wolf Team, I believe, developed. Has that very difficult control scheme to it, but cool artwork. And kind of an Indiana Jones thing going on with the cover there. The next one is Dino Land, and this is a little bit of a disappointment. This is a video pinball game, and I do like video pinball quite a bit. However, this one's very simplistic table design. There's just not really a whole lot going on, and it just doesn't have that addictiveness that some of the best video pinball games have. Again, you know, nice that they brought this over, but not one of the finer titles. Very difficult to find complete also. This next one is Exile. This is one of the action RPG titles they brought over. This one is mediocre, I would say. Again, it has kind of a clipped screen, and you can also get this on TurboGrafx CD with CD quality sound, so one of the reasons why I don't prefer the Genesis version. Pretty cool artwork, though, and another nice addition there. This one is one of my all-time favorite renovation titles, and that is Gain Ground. This is a very interesting arcade game that was originally developed by Sega. The style is kind of a fast-paced strategy game, getting your character from the base of the screen to the exit while facing a lot of obstacles. You also can change characters on the fly, and there's about 20 different playable characters, I believe, by the end of the game. Very cool game. Sega passed on this one for the US, so I guess Renovation picked it up, and very happy they added that one because that's one of my all-time favorites. Next is Arcus Odyssey, and this one didn't really get into as much. It's more of a RPG. I don't know. Don't really have a whole lot to say about this one. I've only played it briefly. Maybe I should give this one another shot. Kind of has a nice overhead view to it, which makes it a little bit unique. Then we have Beast Wrestler, and this one is probably one of the lesser renovation titles out there. This one's okay. I mean, very ugly graphics and very simplistic fighting. At the time, I'm sure it was okay, but this got eclipsed by other games very soon afterwards. This is another one of my renovation favorites. I believe this is one of the most underrated renovation titles, and that is Granada. Very cool tank action game, overhead view. Plays very smoothly, good challenge level, and a lot of fun to play. This was also another Wolf Team developed game. Next we have probably the true oddball of the renovation library, and that is a sports game. That is Jennifer Capriati Tennis. I have no idea why this was one of the games they chose to bring over. It was actually developed by Telenet Japan, so I guess that makes sense, but overall not a great tennis game, and definitely the outlier of the renovation library, because it really doesn't fit into any of the genres of games they put out. Next we have another one that's very difficult to find complete, and that is Master of Monsters. This is a well-known strategy game. It actually got some remakes on later platforms like the PlayStation. It's very good. It uses this hex grid style. Very complex game. Pretty fun to play. Definitely will eat a lot of time if you want to beat it, though. Very cool artwork, though, I will say that. Next is Soldice, or Soldice. I'm not exactly sure how you say this. This one is the very difficult prequel to Solfice on the Sega CD. And again, this one was developed by Wolf Team. It's a alright shooter. Actually, I've started to like this one a lot more lately than I used to, but pretty good visuals. It stands up okay with the games that came out around that era, and definitely worth a look. Cool artwork on that one, too. Next we have another shooter, and that is Whip Rush. This was one of the earliest Renovation titles. I'm trying to remember, I think this one might have been developed by Sega. If not, it was a Telenet game, I'm not positive about that. Kind of simplistic visuals, not one of the all-time best, but it's an alright shooter. This one is definitely another one of the more unusual titles they put out. This is Todd's Adventures in Slime World. This one, I believe, is European developed. It was a game that was created by Epix. And this did get a Japanese release. It also came out on the PC Engine CD. But I definitely can't get into this game. Very ugly visuals, and unlike most of the other Renovation titles. Next is another RPG. This is Trey Xia. Again, very cool artwork on this one. It's a pretty slow-paced game. Couldn't get super into this one. But I can respect that it came out. And welcome, because there aren't a whole lot of true RPGs on the Sega Genesis. Next is another shooter/action game. It's called Final Zone. This one has an overhead view. It's kind of got some mech shooting action. Pretty good title. There also is a sequel on the TurboGrafx that I like better. But this one's alright. It's a welcome addition to the collection. Next we have a series of games that Renovation brought over quite a few of, and that is the Valles Series. This got a release on several different systems, but Renovation put out the majority of those on the Genesis in the US. So we have the original Valles here. It's a good action game. Kind of simplistic visuals on this one, but not too bad. Next we have the more unusual Sid of Valles. This was known as SD Valles, or Super Deformed Valles in Japan, and has cutesy versions of the Valles characters, much smaller, and a much lighter storyline on this one. You can see the exaggerated characters on the box there, and pretty cool game. I'm glad this one exists. It's definitely a little bit more wacky. Next is the third Valles game, that is Valles 3. Somewhat questionable artwork on that one, but definitely a very fun game to play. This one's very deep. I've actually played this one quite a bit. I'd love to beat this one someday. And definitely think it's one of the cooler action games on the Genesis. And then we have the last game they released on the Genesis, and this is another shooter, and that is Vapor Trail. This one was actually a Data East arcade game, and I think Data East released it in Japan, but Renovation released the US version of this. Very cool shooter, has some digitized voice, which is rather sketchy, but it does exist in the game, which was kind of innovative for its time. And very cool entry in the series there. So that is the complete set of the 23 Genesis games they released. Next we'll go into the one Super Nintendo game, and that is Doomsday Warrior. Very simple fighting game, nothing really exciting to talk about here, and kind of a shame this is the only thing they put out on Super Nintendo. Then we'll talk about the Sega CD titles they released. All three of these have a history of being Laserdisc arcade games, and I guess several of these were released in Japan, but they were passed on by US publishers, and Renovation decided to pick these up. So all three of these have kind of cartoonish graphics. They're basically QuickTime events games. It's very much hit or miss whether you like this style game. I actually do enjoy them, and I'm glad these do exist. The first two of these are incredibly hard to find in good condition. Mine aren't the best, but they are complete, and that is Road Avengers, the first one of these. This was a Data East developed arcade game. Kind of has this Pontiac Firebird main character car that you drive. And again, it's all controlled by QuickTime events. It's very difficult to get the hang of, but it's kind of a challenging and interesting game that they put out. It has this very, very unique artwork to the cover. I'll let you soak that in for a second. And next we have another of the Laserdisc arcade games that came out, and this is Time Gal. This one I'm actually more interested in. This was developed by Taito, one of my all-time favorite developers. And again, QuickTime events-based action. Pretty fun. This one also comes in the paper box, so it's very difficult to find in good condition again. But it does exist, and very welcome addition to the Renovation library. And the last title they released, this one came in an actual jewel case, unlike the other two Sega CD titles, is Revenge of the Ninja. This is another Taito-developed Laserdisc arcade game that was brought to the Sega CD. QuickTime events once again, and again, if you like those style of games, you'll probably enjoy this. I'm just happy it exists, and I think they did a very nice job in bringing this over. So that pretty much concludes it. Hopefully you enjoyed this view into my library of Renovation titles. Basically, if you guys like this series, I will make more based on complete collections of other subsets like this that exist. I would love to have complete sets of all the Taito-developed games for several systems. It's one of my goals that I've been going for. And another common collecting goal I have is to complete the set of Working Designs titles. I'm actually getting very close to that, so you can probably expect to see a future video on that. Please take a moment, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think of the video, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great day or night, wherever you are.